So you've mentioned the last 3 songs that were written for the album. What was the very first song that was written?
Oh my gosh, do you know what? I actually don't even know the answer to that. I feel like that's a really great question. I've got one here. I'm gonna have a look and see if I can remember while I'm talking to you. I think well actually that's funny because there's a song on this record called Nothing Makes You Happy.
Mhm.
And I rewrote this song. This is a song I wrote when I was like 20. And then I rewrote it for this record because I'd grown and I changed a bunch of lyrics in it. But the premise of the song still felt like I felt like I was feeling all those feelings again. And probably because I wrote it when I lived in Parks for a really brief stint. And then I came back to Parks. So I left the country and then came back to the country. And then I found this song. And I was like, I remember writing it. I felt like the feeling was still alive in me, like of like knowing, people who represented that idea. And so I rewrote it with some updates. And so that was probably, the first one I wrote in the sense that I started it, I don't know, over 10 years ago.
Well, I did have a question about that song, but along with Drink Until You're All Right. And the question was along the lines of, it's tempting to think those songs are about the same person, but it sounds like
And
they are
this is,
not.
you know what? And this is so interesting, right? Because someone, and I didn't even, I probably should have thought about it, but there's like kind of like a moment on the album where I'm just looking at it while I'm talking to you, where there's like 3 songs in a row. Nothing Makes You Happy, Drink Until You're Right, Somebody Hurt You. And then I was like, wow, girl goes to a dark place, and that's part of the album, right? She's feeling sad about things.
I think Somebody Hurt You is interesting because it's actually about taking responsibility and for managing the ups and downs of life. And so actually I'm reading what I wrote because I did think very carefully about these questions. And part of what I wrote to do with Nothing Makes You Happy and Drink Until You're All Right was that a lot of your work is about having one eye on the blessings of life and another that acknowledges that life can be very hard. And if we take that idea further about the themes that are in your work, there is a strand of taking responsibility for managing the ups and downs. And I think Somebody Hurt You is a song about that because it's about acknowledging someone's pain, but also making it clear that if they want to heal, they can't keep blaming everyone else for that pain.
Totally. And I think I feel like life is just, if I'm honest with you, I think life's really hard. I think life's just really hard for everyone. And I think people act like it is, and they're probably lying because they just think, we pretend to have control and really we can't control anything. It happens, and you've just got to find a way to navigate through it. And so it's interesting that you like kind of notice that, but I do think part of the album was me existing with people who all around me who were like doing great, wonderful things and succeeding and, finding success as the world, deems what success is, and still weren't content. And I think, I actually to an interview that you did recently with Tori Forsyth. And I think there's a lot that she said that kind of, like leaned into and understood it and was like, yeah, I get that. And I think it's a similar vein, right? That I think they make a choice to be happy a lot of the time. Of course, like every person in the world, there's times where life just sucks, right? Like, and that's totally fine. But I do think that, when you see people who are kind of at the top of their game and they just have all this power and money and whatever it may be, and they're just kind of still not happy and they're still angry, it kind of begs like, well, what would make you happy? Like, what would it take for you? For me, I find the music industry, a really odd place to exist. And I think fame is a really odd thing. We have this joke because I'm like, yeah, that's why I decided not to be very famous. Like it's a choice.
Well, to an extent it is, right? Yeah, to an extent.
I mean, sure. Not, yeah, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not a joke my husband and I have. I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad I'm not that famous. But I think, like, yeah, fame is a really interesting thing in this world. And I think it can, make people do crazy things and just kind of never be happy. And so it's something that I care deeply about, is making sure that, my value and my worth is just like found outside of what I do for music. It's just one piece of who I am.